Hello, this is Philip, and welcome to the Sleepy Scales tour. What we're going to do is we're going to do a tour of this application called Sleepy Scales. This is going to take a few minutes, and so you got to buckle in, kind of hang in for this one. We will also have pullouts of some of the features in here, just so we can show you those separately, so you don't have to sit through what's probably about a 6-minute experience with this particular app. So what it's used for is this app is used by lab technicians who give it to subjects who essentially take a test of sorts. It's essentially a survey that they take. In this particular case, it's all sleepy scales. So it's all on a scale of 0 to 100, even though it's not completely expressed that way. And then the subject will give it back to the lab tech, who then submits the data to the server to be saved. So there's a lot of things that go on in the background with this app. I'm going to take you through some of them, take you through some of the different pieces. All right, so first of all, let's go to the settings. And here you'll see we have a settings screen that allows us to set things up. First, the IP address. I'm not going to change this. I want this to work for us the first time. So I'm going to leave the IP address as it is. And we can also set the subject ID. So right now we have a subject that's set. Let's just for giggles say that we want a different one, and we'll put in a new subject here and tap enter. As you can see, we've got the little activity indicator letting them know something's happening while it's accessing the server, and then they can load the study profile. The study profile gets loaded. Now what that means is on the back end of the server, they've set up a profile, and it can have its questions, a number of questions, anywhere between 12 and 19, or as few as one if they really want to, that they can specify on the server that as they create these profiles. We'll return to the home screen, and this is where typically the lab tech would take it and tap on begin. They can see that Leah has already taken quite a few trials here if they'd like to, but what we want to do is tap on new. We're going to say no, this is just part of what they do, and tap on next. So it gives a greeting to the subject, and this is where they would actually hand the device to the subject so that they can take this profile. Tap on start, and now they get this question, which shows up in every single one of these trials, and we will just select one answer. Anytime you select an answer, the button becomes active so that they can tap on it and progress. Here is our sleepy scale. This is a custom sleepy scale, and you'll notice that you can see where my arrow is. It works the same way on the device, where you don't have to be directly on this to be able to get the result. It's great for fat fingers or tired fingers. We've given them a pretty big space that they can hit. We'll tap next, and we'll progress through. This right here is actually a custom question that was done just for this particular test study. So you can have custom questions as well as standard questions. We'll tap on next, and this is where the subject would hand it back to the lab person who'd be standing with them. They tap on an invisible button, which is how they get here. At this point, they can cancel this trial, which would dump the data, because they're saying, no, there was something that went wrong during this and we don't want to keep it, or they can submit it. If they tap on submit, we let them know something's going on, and we submit the data to the server. Now this is a perfect case where we know that the server is going to work, but there are some cases where the server doesn't work. Before we get to that, let's go through, tap exit, and you'll see that it exits. That's part of the workflow that the client requested. We'll go back into the sleepy scale, and we'll take a look at changing the subject ID. So here we're going to change it again. I'm actually going to change this right here to 203, and we'll go through that same procedure. And I wanted you to see it because there's another feature in here as well that you're going to be able to see. Here are Hermione's. It's not quite as big a list. We'll go through quickly. Told you that one's always there. And you can actually get different questions and submit this bad boy. The submit works perfectly fine. But now we're going to change something. I'm going to make it so the servers don't work. All right, through movie magic, I've made it so that servers don't work now, and we're going to go back in and do the same thing. It doesn't seem any different as you go through it, and it shouldn't. We don't want the lab techs or the subjects to care whether or not the servers are up. We'll let them go through. Oops, one more to go. And then submit the data. When they submit the data, if the server is not available, so that means if there's a Wi-Fi failure or if for some reason the server is down, the client automatically stores the data. Now, I'm going to actually, through Movie Magic Watch again, make it so that these servers are on so we can see what happens. Magically, our servers are on. I will exit, and go back into the application, now you will be able to see here that the trial has been stored. So what do? Do we make them go through and actually do another trial to try to submit this? Well, as it turns out, they can. So they don't have to worry about it. They just have to make a notation of this. And if they have any more trials, they can actually go through the process, click on submit, and it will submit both pieces of data. But there's also a case where they don't want to do any more. There may be no more trials to be done, so we also allow them to go in here and have a submit all. And if you notice when we went in here before, only these two buttons were lit. Now this one is, because we know that there's stored data on the client. We will allow them to submit the data. It will do our little wait, and then it lets us know that it's been submitted, and we can click on exit. And now, once again, we can go in and check, and you will see there are no yellow status buttons. So there you have it, a tour of Sleepy Scales and some of the neat features, how we store the data, how we track, how we can switch profiles and everything else like that. You'll notice that we had, Star Wars themed questions, and we had Hogwarts themed questions just in our test data. So it's a little bit of fun. It's a real lot of flexibility. It's really a flexible survey tool that we built on the back end of this that allow them to configure it almost on the fly as they go through. So I hope you enjoyed this tour of Sleepy Scales. We sure enjoyed making it, and hopefully we'll get to make something really cool for you sometime soon. Thanks.